Can we talk about the new Rema album?
I don't know if I love it, but I love Benin Boys. But I don't know if I love the project.
I don't think I like it.
It's definitely, he's definitely going into a very experimental era.
Yeah.
A very dark era. I feel like I spoke about this on our TikTok, but
You did.
I don't really understand Rema's angle with all the dark imagery and like honestly like devil eluding imagery too. Like that's what it feels like to me. It's like very dark, very shadowy, the wings and all that different type of stuff. We know for a fact that his like core demographic is not gonna rock with it off rip at least. And I don't think it's necessary. I also think that the sound that he's going for, while it's cool and is like pushing the genre, I do feel like he missed a few times with that ha 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 song.
I don't like that.
I really didn't enjoy like listening to that. Like sonically, it wasn't pleasing to me.
Yeah.
But Spencer, it sounds like you have a different opinion.
I liked it.
You liked it a lot.
I really liked it. It's very high energy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It kind of was getting me amped up, and I think I understood it on the first track, March M, where he's like doing the noises, the funny like weird kind of scary noises that he did at the show that we were at as well. I'm like, oh, is he trying to be like Afrobeats Playboy Cardi?
Yeah, it feels like he's leaning in that direction.
I kind of think that's the direction, and I wasn't mad at it. I thought the music was nothing I'd ever heard before. It's like a new take on this genre, and I'm kind of into it.
I mean, it's experimental. Rema's one of the best talents, young talents in Afrobeat. I think that that's unquestioned. You know, I think that the sky's the limit for him, wherever he continues to take his career. And I think he's still very young in his career. So he's still finding himself and things like that. It's just been interesting that this has kind of been the conversation around Rema, and now this is where it went. Because he came up very, very religious, very, very Christian. He was like a Christian rapper. And then it's been said that he kind of turned to more worldly things, and that's what brought him success, which is kind of interesting. And then you go and you look at the last project, Raven Roses. Like there's a church on the cover with the upside, like it's upside down. You know what I mean, with the upside down cross. So I think this whole religious thing that Rema's been doing has been something that he's been grappling with, which I think you see a lot with people who were raised very, very strictly in the church, you know what I mean, as they grow into themselves. It's not to say they're denouncing their religion, but you ask more questions. You know what I mean? You find different ways to be a part of that conversation, you know what I mean? And it may not always be, I agree with this, you know? So I think we're watching a young person kind of grow into themselves more with this album. Is it my favorite? No. But I like that he's trying new things.
Well, it's also, just to build onto your point, I think like musically and sonically, it is a much different sound even than Raves and Roses. Because, yes. I mean, you think about one of his biggest records, Calm Down.
Yeah.
Nothing on this project sounds like that.
At all.
And if you want another hit record, you usually don't deviate this far away from what you did before. And yes, I mean, artists have definitely pushed their limit and push their sound. You mentioned Playboy Cardi. I feel like that's probably the most comparable thing we have to what Rema is doing right now. It's just a super dramatic change of sound and change of pace, change of visual, you know? And I'm interested to see how it does for him.
Me too.
I think co-opting the newer generation, not sure if I'm going to pronounce this right, but that dude Shola Poppy, what's his name?
I think you said it right.
I said it right? I mean, I think putting him on a song like Benin Boys and like co-opting his sound, I feel like that is a great way to step into this new era, because you're not necessarily trying to invent something new or pretending you invented something new. You're like, nah, this is like who's also doing this. Let me just like also put them on the project, you know?
I can't lie though. I think that this opens the women in Afrobeat really, really represented this year. And I needed him to, you know what I mean, step up to that level. Ira and Tim's gave us great albums. I don't think we're going to get another drop from Burna Boy this year.
So.
WizKid gave us an EP at the back end of last year, I think. So, I mean, Rema, Ruger, Ashake dropped last year, so he might be quiet this year. I don't know, though. He might. Ashake could.
No, I mean, he just dropped that song with Central C, you know, and didn't he drop, he's been on his feature run with Ira and Thames. Yeah. I think, I mean, I don't know, but the year we're only halfway through the year. We could definitely get in a Ashake project. I would assume. You know what it is? I don't think that they have a date yet. I'm assuming right now that they are waiting for something to happen with Wave or maybe with another single before they're like 100% yes, this year we go.
Yeah, I need it. I don't know because it seems wide open. Rema was gonna be and he still might be. But if he would have had another slapper of an album this year, it might have been over for everybody. He would have been like the next one.
Yeah,
I think this album is gonna really help African music become bigger in America, because I think.
Ooh, do you think this? I don't think this translates.
I think it does a little bit, and I think it translates to somebody, not to us, and not to people that already like Afrobeat. But I think it's gonna help gain new fans.
Yeah,
because the parallel I'm thinking about is like the WNBA. You know what I mean? And there've been hoopers in the WNBA for years and years and years. You know what I'm saying? But for some reason this year people really started paying attention and it's blown up. And I think a large part of that were having certain women that people were invested in on and off the court. There were characters.
College stars. There were college stars that already had built up. You've built up this fandom for 4 years in Caitlin's case, 3 years in Angel's case.
And they were like... People love the story. It's more than just the on-court game. You know what I'm saying? It's like the chirp. It's the little rivalry. It's shit like that, and it's being able to identify people easily.
But they were both still all-stars this year, so the play was still to that level, even though it lived up to the story.
Yeah. But I'm saying I think a lot of people, myself included, up until a couple years ago, liked the sound of Afrobeat a lot, but didn't really have a lot of easy entry points. Of course, Burna Boy and Wizkid. But aside from that, 3 years ago, I couldn't have told you the difference between a Fireboy DML or a Ruger. You know what I mean? I wasn't tuned in enough to really understand these subtle nuances. So I do think having the genre sprout more subgenres and different like drastically different sounds and looks all under this beautiful umbrella that is African music will help American consumers. Not that that's the most important thing in the world, but just looking at it from an American lens, it will help American consumers latch themselves onto certain artists and become fans of the overall genre, I think.
If it works, I 100% agree with you. And I'm excited to see the response to it. Because, they're obviously still working the project. It's still relatively new, so there's going to be things that will catch on late. Once things get in motion, we'll see what people are gravitating towards. But I do want to talk about the WNBA for like 2 seconds.